What is up, guys? How's it going? How's that thing looking? Not bad, right? This video is shot on the Fuji X-M5, a camera that I'm really happy with. It's pretty awesome. I just got it a couple days ago, and for the first couple days I was shooting a lot of photos because that's what you do when you get a Fuji camera, because the images, the JPEGs straight out of the camera on Fuji cameras are absolutely amazing, and that's the main reason why I purchased this camera. I used to have an XE4, which I loved a lot. Regrettably, I sold it to fund a lens for my Sony camera, and ever since then I was just like, I felt like something was missing in my life. And so when the XM5 was announced as being a budget Fuji camera, I just had to jump on it. And this camera's like back ordered for forever. It's just that I have a really good relationship with my camera store all of a sudden. And they called me and they're like, hey, we have an extra one, would you like to purchase it? And I'm like, absolutely, I would. And so I went in and I bought it. Yeah, shout out to Aiden Camera in the Pacific Mall. If you are from Toronto or Richmond Hill or Markham area, that is the best camera store ever. Don't go anywhere else. They'll take care of you. Very nice people. Just so happy that I have a camera store that I can rely on, that has amazing inventory. It's just absolutely incredible. Anyway, but enough of that. The reason why I turned on this camera is because I wanted to test out the video capabilities of this camera. Now, this camera is being often compared to the Sony ZV-E10, which I actually understand why now. Size-wise, ergonomics, you know, just the video features of this camera compete very well with that camera. Mind you, I'm still very familiar with the Sony system, so maybe I guess the images that I shoot coming out of that camera is probably better than this camera. It's only because I'm not really familiar with this yet. I shot a lot last night. I was at my family Christmas party and learned a lot of what not to do and what to do, and I think today I finally figured out like best practices, settings to use for this camera. So right now I'm shooting at 1/60. I'm shooting at f3.5. This is the kit lens, so that's as fast as it can go. It has a variable aperture, which I don't like and I don't think anybody likes, but on the good side, this lens has a very generous and very useful zoom of 45 millimeters. But the problem is when you zoom in to 45 millimeters, it goes to f5.6, and as you can tell, the image probably got darker and my face is really close to the screen. Let's pull back out. It should be exposed properly now at f3.5. Now this is where I had the biggest issues, was to determine like what ISO to shoot at. And since I'm shooting at f-log, which is the setting that you would use if you wanted to color correct your video afterwards, it's I guess the most pro setting. I love color correcting, that's why I always shoot everything in a log format. I find that the best setting is just to have the camera choose the ISO. So I put it on just a variable ISO. So right now as I'm walking around, my ISO is climbing higher as I'm going into like a darker area. I'm gonna soon step into this room here, which is super pitch black, and it went to ISO 12,800. Now the image quality is probably not gonna be great, because typically speaking, the higher the ISO, the more grainy and muddy the image looks, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's a good trade-off for you not to have to think about it. So right now I'm walking into a bright area, and the ISO is ISO 640 right now. I'm underneath these bright lights, and you know, if you're vlogging in the daytime, it's gonna be great. It's gonna work out really well. I would suggest this and get an ND filter for sure. Something like this, a variable ND filter, and just uncap, I guess, the ISO and use the ND filter to expose properly. Yeah, this camera's great. I love how small it is. I wasn't prepared for how small it actually was. When I opened it, I was like, what the hell is this? It looks like a toy. It's so cute, right? But it looks like a Fuji camera. It's but smaller. It's like a smaller little brother or sister. The other thing you'll notice as well, or the other thing that you should be expecting, is the build quality. It's built nicely, but it is all plastic, so it feels a little bit cheaper. So if you have a Fuji camera already, fully expect that. It's not going to be as high-end feeling, I suppose. But it's nice. The one thing I don't like about it is the ergonomics. This is a criticism for most small cameras. Even the ZV-E10 had this issue. The grip is not great. It's very difficult. I feel like my hands aren't even that big. but like I feel that my hands are too big for this camera. This camera sometimes feels like it's gonna like slip off and just fall to the ground. So I ordered a small rig grip. It's an L bracket with a grip type thing. Can't wait till that shows up. I think it's gonna make this camera feel a lot better and more substantial. Right now I have it set to just the, I have it written down here because I can't remember all the acronyms and whatnot. Right now I have it set to OIS, which stands for Optical Image Stabilization. It's built into the lens, so that's the lens stability. This camera actually has an in-body stability thing. It's called DIS. Sorry, I'm reading from my monitor right now, which is Digital Image Stabilization. It's great, but the caveat is that it punches in like this, and it creates kind of this jello-y background that I don't like, but it's not bad. It's actually really stable. I'm gonna click it on right now. Right now I don't have it on. Right now I'm just relying on the OIS, which is the stability on the lens. If this is good enough for you guys, then I would recommend doing this, just shooting like this. So if I pointed this out, how does it look? Is it stable? I am making an effort to walk very smoothly, but is that stable enough? I don't know. In a minute I'm gonna switch over to both stability modes, which is I can never remember this, the DIS and OIS together. Okay, all right, as you can see, we're cropped in a lot more. My arms completely outstretched, my head is giant, but I'm gonna walk around and I'll show you what I mean. This should be super smooth, and actually I am so impressed by this stability, this mode that Fuji has been able to accomplish. I like it better than Sony's implementation, which is dynamic active. Dynamic active is great, but I find it still too stuttery, especially when you do turns. It's smooth if you're walking straight, but as soon as you turn, the camera algorithmically tries to compensate and it kind of jerks it back and forth. It does a heavy jerk and then it goes back to smooth again. I don't like that. I don't think we get that with Fuji's, but what you do get is this kind of weird distortion. I don't know if I'll be able to replicate it, but I mean, to me, it seems very smooth. It's very successful. I like it, and I don't think that unless you're very sensitive to it, you're not going to be able to see it. So that's a definite plus. The only thing too is that it's punched in, like I said before. It is very usable, I think. What do you guys think though? What else did I want to talk about? Set focus to multi. Initially I had it set to focus and it was misfocusing. Sometimes it would focus on thing in the background, somebody would walk by and it would focus on them, stuff like that. But if you set it on multi, it's always going to track your eyes. I can see it right now, it's tracking my eyes. And if you do this, you're not going to have any issues at all with this camera focusing. It doesn't focus as fast as Sony cameras, but at least when it's locked on this way, it's pretty consistent and it's really, really usable. It's actually pretty great. So I would suggest that putting it on multi-focus. Cool? Yeah, I like it a lot. This camera is so light, I feel like I can carry it forever. It's a bit cheaper than your typical Fuji camera, but you know, the good thing about it is that, yeah, it's cheaper in price and it's light. But yeah, that's about it. I think that's all I want to talk about. So if you guys like this video, if this was useful to you, give me a thumbs up. A follow would be even better. I can't wait to shoot more with this camera. I love having the ability to be able to have a great photo camera, and if I didn't have my Sony cameras with me, a very capable vlogging camera as well. Alright guys, I guess that's it. Peace out, happy holidays, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.